Let me start with the truth you don't want to hear. He didn't fall in love with you. He fell in lust with your body, and the moment you said yes to him before he even earned the right to know your heart, he had already decided how this story would end. We live in a world where playboys are celebrated like kings, where the first meeting is no longer about connection but conquest, where women are told that their worth is measured by how fast they give in, and men are told that the faster they conquer, the more powerful they are. But let's be honest, there is no power in emptiness. There is no glory in bodies stacked like trophies. There is no respect in someone who only knows how to take, but never to build. A real man does not rush to unwrap what he doesn't intend to cherish. A real woman knows her value cannot be negotiated in the heat of one reckless night. So when a playboy brags, "I had her after the first meeting," I want you to ask yourself, is that a win, or is that proof that he doesn't even know the rules of love? Because love is not instant noodles. Love is not a transaction. Love is not found in a night but forged in consistency, patience, and presence. And ladies, listen carefully. If he only wanted your body after the first meeting, don't let him rent space in your soul. You are not a motel for passing lust. You are a palace, and palaces do not open their gates for clowns. When we talk about the idea that lust is not the same as love, we are really confronting one of the greatest confusions in modern relationships. Lust is powerful. It is immediate, fiery, and almost intoxicating. It has the ability to pull two people together with an intensity that feels undeniable. In that first meeting, lust often feels like fate. It feels like chemistry so strong it must mean something deeper. But this is the trap. Lust is a reaction of the body, not a commitment of the heart. It is temporary by nature, and when it is mistaken for love, disappointment follows. Love, on the other hand, is a process. It does not rush to the surface in the way lust does. Love is cultivated through patience, through shared experiences, through time that reveals character. Lust only sees the outside. It responds to the way someone looks, the way they carry themselves, the energy they give off. Love, in contrast, sees beneath the surface. Love asks questions. Love waits. Love requires consistency, and consistency cannot be proven in one meeting or one night. The danger comes when we allow lust to masquerade as love. That moment of passion can be so overwhelming that it tricks us into believing we have found something meaningful. But when the fire cools, often what remains is emptiness. We begin to realize that we do not actually know the other person. We don't know their values, their flaws, or their dreams. We simply know how it felt to be wanted. That feeling of being desired can be so flattering that it clouds judgment, and people rush into situations believing they are cherished when in truth, they are only being consumed. This is why it is so important to distinguish between lust and love early on. Lust is not bad in itself. It is natural, it is human, it is part of attraction. But lust cannot build a foundation. If two people begin with lust and never move beyond it, the relationship will collapse as soon as the novelty fades. Love, however, does not burn out so quickly. Love grows stronger as it faces challenges. Love survives the mundane, the ordinary days, the frustrations and imperfections. Lust does not survive those things. Many people fall into the trap of thinking lust is proof of compatibility. They assume that strong physical desire must mean that they have found the one. But compatibility is not measured in physical attraction. Compatibility is about values aligning, about being able to respect one another, about finding joy in the simple act of sharing life together. Lust can exist between two people who are completely wrong for one another. Love cannot. Love only survives where there is truth, respect, and commitment. The confusion between lust and love often leads to heartbreak because people place expectations on lust that it cannot carry. They assume that because someone desired them passionately, that person must also care about them deeply. But lust does not require depth. Lust is satisfied with surfaces. When those expectations are not met, the person who hoped for love feels betrayed, while the person driven by lust often feels no guilt because their intentions never went beyond that initial desire. This imbalance leaves scars, and it creates cycles of mistrust and bitterness in relationships. Learning to tell the difference requires self-awareness and discipline. It requires asking hard questions. Does this person truly see me, or do they only want access to my body? Have they shown consistency beyond their desire? Do they respect my boundaries, or do they only push for more? Love will always respect. Love will wait. Lust does not have that patience. If someone is truly interested in building love, they will show up not just once but repeatedly, proving their intentions through action. Ultimately, lust is like a spark while love is like a fire that has been carefully tended. The spark can start something, but without care, without protection, without deliberate effort, it dies quickly. Love is that steady flame that does not need constant novelty to survive. It thrives because it is built on more than attraction. It is built on trust, on choice, on mutual respect. So when we say, lust is not love, what we are really saying is that instant passion is not proof of deeper connection. The two may exist together, but one cannot replace the other. Lust is fleeting, love is enduring. Lust consumes, love builds. Lust can be blind, love sees clearly. The challenge is not to reject lust altogether, but to refuse to mistake it for something it can never be. Only then can we protect our hearts from disappointment and make space for love that is genuine, lasting, and worthy of who we are. The so-called Playboy lifestyle has been glamorized for decades, painted in music, films, and social media as a mark of power, charm, and success. The image is simple: a man who can have anyone he wants, who collects bodies the way some collect trophies, who never ties himself down because freedom is his ultimate badge of honor. On the surface, it looks intoxicating. Who wouldn't want to be admired, desired, and celebrated? But beneath that polished exterior, there is a hollowness that can't be ignored. The culture of the Playboy is built on consumption, not connection, and in the end, it leaves nothing but emptiness in its wake. What the Playboy culture promises is satisfaction, but what it delivers is repetition. The thrill of the chase might feel exciting for a moment, but it always fades. The excitement is not in the relationship, because there is no relationship. The excitement is only in the conquest. Once the conquest is over, the cycle must restart because lust doesn't linger. That means the Playboy is always searching, always reaching for the next distraction, always chasing what cannot truly satisfy. That endless pursuit doesn't create fulfillment, it exposes the lack of it. This culture reduces intimacy to transaction. Instead of valuing a person for who they are, it values them for what they can provide in a moment of gratification. A woman is no longer seen as someone with her own story, heart, and depth, but as an opportunity, a notch, a temporary fix. And while the Playboy may boast about his power, there is no real power in exploitation. To take without building, to consume without giving, to chase without intending to stay. These are signs not of strength but of emptiness. There is also a deep dishonesty at the core of this lifestyle. The Playboy thrives on illusion, the illusion of charm, the illusion of connection, the illusion of sincerity. Words are spoken not because they are meant, but because they are effective. Gestures are made not out of care, but out of strategy. What this culture glorifies is the performance of intimacy without its substance. But pretending to connect is not the same as actually connecting, and when the mask slips, what's left is manipulation and disappointment. For those who get caught up with a Playboy, the damage can be profound. Many people enter such encounters believing that passion means promise. They interpret attention as affection, only to realize too late that the attention was never rooted in respect. What results is heartbreak, self-doubt, and sometimes even shame. And yet the Playboy walks away bragging, as though another person's pain is proof of his success. In truth, it is proof of his emptiness, because someone who is truly whole does not need to hurt others to feel alive. Even for the Playboy himself, the culture is corrosive. Though he may boast of freedom, what he is actually bound to is restlessness. No matter how many conquests he collects, it is never enough. The hunger only grows, because the emptiness remains unfilled. It is like trying to quench thirst with salt water. The more he drinks, the thirstier he becomes. And in the silence between encounters, when there is no one to impress, no one to pursue, the Playboy must face himself. Often, what he finds is loneliness. That loneliness is the price of living in a cycle of taking without truly giving, of pretending to connect without ever risking vulnerability. What is most tragic about this culture is the way it deceives both participants and onlookers into believing it is glamorous. It teaches young men that their worth is measured by how many women they can seduce, and it teaches women to believe that being chosen by such a man is a mark of desirability. But the truth is far less appealing. Being chosen as part of a cycle does not mean you are valued. It means you are being used to fill a void that cannot be filled. And living as the one doing the using is no better. It only deepens the void. The emptiness of the Playboy culture is not just personal, it is cultural. It erodes the meaning of intimacy and distorts the meaning of love. It spreads the lie that connection is shallow, that relationships are disposable, that people are replaceable. It glorifies the temporary while dismissing the lasting. And in doing so, it starves people of the very thing they most desire: to be seen, to be known, to be loved for who they are, not for what they can offer in a fleeting moment. In the end, the Playboy lifestyle is not a mark of freedom, but a mask for emptiness. It is not a sign of abundance, but of hunger. And while it may shine for a moment in the eyes of the world, it cannot provide what every human heart ultimately seeks: depth, trust, and real love. Beneath the bravado, beneath the charm, beneath the endless chase, there is nothing lasting, and nothing lasting is ever worth glorifying. Real value in any relationship begins and ends with respect. Without respect, affection is shallow, attraction is fleeting, and promises become empty words. Respect is what transforms interest into commitment, and connection into something meaningful. When someone truly values you, they show it not through flattery, not through pressure, not through temporary attention, but through consistent acts of respect. Respect is the proof of intention, the evidence of care, and the foundation upon which real love can be built. Too often, people confuse desire with value. They believe that being wanted is the same as being valued. But desire alone is selfish. It only asks, "What can you give me? What can I take from you?" Respect, on the other hand, asks, "How can I honor you? How can I protect what is precious in you?" Desire without respect can lead to exploitation, but respect ensures that desire is expressed with dignity and integrity. That difference is everything. Respect means boundaries are honored, not pushed. When someone respects you, they do not demand access to your body, your time, or your energy just because they want it. They understand that your now is final, and they never treat it as an obstacle to overcome. Without respect, intimacy becomes a tool for control. With respect, intimacy becomes an act of trust. When two people honor each other's boundaries, they create a space where love can grow without fear. Respect also shows in the way someone speaks. Words can build or they can destroy, and someone who values you will choose words that uplift rather than demean. A relationship without respect is full of manipulation, backhanded comments, and empty compliments meant to get something in return. But respect speaks truthfully, with care. It says, "I see you not just for what I want from you, but for who you are." That kind of speech strengthens bonds instead of weakening them. Consistency is another hallmark of respect. It is easy for someone to treat you well when they are interested, when they are chasing, when the novelty is still fresh. But true respect doesn't vanish once they get what they want. True respect remains steady through time. It is there on ordinary days, in moments of frustration, even in disagreement. Respect doesn't lash out when things don't go its way. It doesn't disappear when the excitement fades. It stays because it sees value not in temporary thrills, but in the person themselves. Respect is also tied to patience. In a world that glorifies instant gratification, patience becomes one of the clearest signs of real value. When someone values you, they are willing to wait, to take the time to earn your trust instead of rushing you into decisions that benefit only them. Impatience says, "I want what I want, and I want it now." Patience says, "You are worth the time, and I'm not afraid to prove it." That difference separates those who only desire your body from those who genuinely want to know your soul. Real value also requires respect because love cannot survive without it. Love stripped of respect becomes toxic. It becomes possessive, manipulative, or careless. Respect, however, allows love to remain pure. It gives space for both people to flourish as individuals while growing together. When respect is present, love feels safe. When respect is absent, love feels heavy, uncertain, and destructive. The absence of respect exposes false intentions. Many people can say the right words, make the right gestures, and create the illusion of affection, but if their actions consistently disregard your worth, then their words mean nothing. Someone who truly values you will not simply speak of love. They will show it through respect in every interaction. That is how you tell the difference between temporary attention and lasting commitment. At the core, respect is recognition. It is the recognition that you are not an object, not a conquest, not a temporary distraction, but a human being with dignity. Respect sees beyond appearances and acknowledges the depth of a person's worth. And when two people give that to each other, what grows is not just attraction but partnership, not just desire but devotion. This is why real value requires respect, because without respect everything else collapses. Respect is the soil in which trust grows, the shield that protects vulnerability, the light that reveals genuine love. If someone truly values you, they will show it not by how much they take from you, but by how much they honor you. And if respect is missing, no matter how strong the attraction feels, there is no foundation. To be valued is not to be desired for a moment, it is to be respected consistently, deeply, and without condition. That is what real love demands, and anything less is not love at all. A woman's worth has never been defined by how quickly she gives in, but by how deeply she knows herself. In a world that constantly tells women they must prove themselves through beauty, through attention, or through how desirable they are to men, protecting one's worth becomes an act of resistance. Too many voices whisper the same lie, that being chosen, being wanted, or being claimed is the highest achievement. But when a woman believes this lie, she risks giving her value away to people who never earned the right to carry it. Protecting worth means refusing to let others define it, refusing to trade it for momentary validation, and refusing to lower it just because someone else lacks the maturity to see it. The truth is that worth is not negotiable. It does not shrink or disappear because someone fails to recognize it. A diamond remains a diamond whether it is in a showcase or buried in the dirt. The tragedy is not that a woman's worth is lost, it is that too often she forgets it. When someone approaches her with false intentions, she may confuse attention for love, lust for connection, and charm for respect. This confusion often leads to choices that leave her drained, disappointed, or ashamed. Protecting worth means recognizing that attention is cheap, but respect is priceless, and only one is worthy of being entertained. The culture of today often pressures women to equate freedom with giving themselves away easily, as if empowerment means saying yes to anything at any time. But empowerment without boundaries is just exploitation dressed up in new language. True empowerment comes from choice, from discernment, from being able to say no without fear and yes without regret. Protecting worth means setting boundaries so strong that no sweet words, no false promises, and no fleeting desires can tear them down. There is also a spiritual weight to worth. A woman carries within her the power to give life, to nurture, to create, to heal. Her presence can inspire, her words can build, her love can transform. This is not something to be handed carelessly to anyone who comes along with flattery. When worth is given too freely, it ends up in the hands of those who do not know how to hold it, who treat it casually, and who throw it away when it no longer entertains them. Protecting worth means saving it for those who are willing to honor it, cherish it, and rise to the responsibility of holding it carefully. Too many women have experienced the pain of being treated as temporary. They enter situations with hope, only to realize that what was promised was never real. The disappointment that follows often leads them to question themselves. Was I not enough? Did I give too much? Did I make a mistake in trusting? But the truth is, the mistake was not in who they are. It was in believing that their worth depended on someone else's recognition. Protecting worth means refusing to tie self-esteem to someone else's actions, understanding that their failure to see value does not make the value disappear. Protecting worth also means healing from past wounds. Many women who have been taken for granted build walls so high that even love struggles to reach them. Others go to the opposite extreme, giving more and more in the hope that one day someone will finally stay. Neither of these paths lead to peace. Healing allows a woman to stand in balance, to know she can love deeply while still keeping her dignity intact, to know she can open her heart without lowering her standards. Healing is a way of reclaiming worth after it has been mishandled, a way of saying, I am still valuable, and I will no longer allow anyone to treat me otherwise. At its core, protecting worth is about self-respect. It is the decision to walk away when actions don't match words. It is the discipline of saying no to what feels good in the moment, but robs you in the long run. It is the wisdom of knowing that loneliness is not the worst fate, settling for less than you deserve is, and it is the courage to believe that real love, patient love, committed love, is worth waiting for, no matter how long it takes. When a woman protects her worth, she raises the standard not only for herself but for everyone around her. She teaches others how she expects to be treated, and she inspires other women to do the same. She reminds the world that value does not lie in what can be taken, but in what must be earned. And when she stands firm in that truth, she attracts not the playboy who only seeks temporary thrill, but the partner who is ready to honor, respect, and build something lasting. The true measure of a man is not found in his charm, his wealth, or even his ability to impress in the moment. It is revealed in his intentions. Words can be sweet, gestures can be grand, and appearances can be deceiving, but intentions are what guide behavior over time. A man's character is not defined by what he says when he wants something, but by what he means when no one is watching. To understand who someone truly is, you must look beyond the surface and pay attention to the direction of their intentions, because that is where their character is written. Intentions shape choices. A man who intends to honor you will behave in ways that protect your dignity. He will not pressure you into giving more than you are ready to give, nor will he manipulate your emotions for his own benefit. His actions will align with respect, patience, and honesty, even when it does not serve his immediate desires. On the other hand, a man whose intentions are rooted in selfishness will always reveal that through impatience, disregard for boundaries, or inconsistency. You can tell the difference not by listening to the promises he makes, but by watching whether his actions uphold or betray those promises. Many women have experienced the pain of being caught up with men who said all the right things but meant none of them. The charm, the attention, the pursuit, it all seemed real, until the moment it no longer served his purpose. That is the danger of mistaking performance for character. A man can play the role of a lover without ever intending to be one. But character cannot be faked forever. Eventually intentions surface. If his goal was only to satisfy himself, his behavior will shift once he has achieved that goal. This is why understanding intentions early on is so crucial. They are the compass that tells you whether someone is moving toward building something lasting or simply passing through. Character shows itself in consistency. A man with good intentions will show up the same way in the beginning, the middle, and the end. He will not disappear when things get inconvenient or difficult. His words will carry weight because they are backed by commitment. In contrast, a man with selfish intentions will always struggle to maintain consistency. He will show up when it is easy, vanish when it is hard, and return only when it benefits him. His lack of consistency exposes the truth: his character was never rooted in respect but in self-interest. Intentions also shape how a man handles vulnerability. If his goal is to honor you, he will treat your trust as sacred. He will listen when you share your fears, support you when you feel weak, and guard your heart instead of playing with it. If his intentions are shallow, your vulnerability becomes a tool for him to use, a weakness he can exploit, or simply something he discards when he no longer finds it useful. A man's intentions are revealed not in how he treats you when he desires you, but in how he treats you when you need him. There is also power in how a man's intentions guide his patience. A man of character will never rush what is meant to take time. If his intention is to build, he will understand that foundations must be laid carefully, that trust is earned slowly, and that love cannot be forced. A man without true intentions will rush everything. He will want results immediately, intimacy instantly, commitment without effort. His impatience exposes that he is not looking for depth, only for gratification. The heart of the matter is that intentions are the soil from which actions grow. No matter how polished someone appears, if the soil is corrupted, the fruit will be spoiled. This is why women must learn to look past appearances and listen closely to patterns of behavior. Does he show respect when he has nothing to gain? Does he remain consistent when the excitement fades? Does he guard your dignity even when you are not present? These are the signs of true intentions, and through them, character is revealed. When a man's intentions are pure, his character is steady, and his love is trustworthy. But when intentions are selfish, no amount of charm or passion can cover it for long. Protecting your heart means paying attention to what lies beneath the surface, because the truth about a man is not found in what he says to get close. It is found in why he wants to be close in the first place. And in the end, only intentions rooted in respect and care can build something that lasts. Self-worth is one of the few things in life that cannot and should not ever be negotiated. It is the foundation upon which confidence, dignity, and boundaries are built. When you know your worth, you walk differently, you speak differently, and you love differently. You no longer settle for crumbs when you deserve the whole table. You no longer tolerate disrespect because you recognize that your value does not depend on someone else's approval. Self-worth is not up for debate, and anyone who tries to bargain with it is unworthy of your time. The world, however, is full of voices that try to convince you otherwise. They say you should lower your standards if you want to be loved, that you should bend your principles if you want to be chosen, that you should accept less because something is better than nothing. These voices disguise themselves as advice, as practicality, even as care, but at their core, they are lies. The truth is that lowering your self-worth does not lead to love, it leads to exploitation. When you trade your dignity for temporary affection, you are not gaining a partner, you are losing yourself. Self-worth means understanding that rejection does not define you. Too many people internalize rejection as proof of inadequacy, believing that someone's inability to see their value means they are unworthy. But rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of someone else's capacity to recognize it. A diamond remains a diamond even if someone is blind to its brilliance. Protecting self-worth means refusing to internalize the blindness of others. It means choosing to believe in your value even when others fail to acknowledge it. When you know your worth, boundaries become natural. You do not have to explain or justify why you say no, because you understand that your time, your energy, and your heart are precious. People who respect your worth will honor those boundaries without question. People who do not will push, manipulate, or try to guilt you into compromising. And that is the test. When someone resists your boundaries, they are not resisting you, they are resisting the dignity that comes with your self-worth. In those moments, you must choose not to bend, because bending communicates that your value can be negotiated, that your dignity can be bought. But when you hold firm, you teach others that your worth is non-negotiable. Self-worth also reshapes the way you handle love. It keeps you from confusing desire with devotion, attention with respect, or flattery with commitment. It teaches you to discern the difference between someone who is drawn to you for what you can give in the moment, and someone who is invested in who you are for the long term. When you know your worth, you stop chasing people who are inconsistent, disrespectful, or indifferent. You stop giving second chances to those who treat you as an option. You realize that loneliness is better than companionship that diminishes you. The danger of negotiating self-worth is that once you begin, it becomes a pattern. Each compromise makes the next one easier, until suddenly you are living a life where your dignity is traded for scraps of affection. You start to accept behaviors you once swore you never would. You start to silence your voice to avoid conflict. You start to believe that maybe this is the best you can do. But the truth is, the best you can do is always aligned with your worth, not against it. Self-worth anchors you, reminding you that what is meant for you will never demand you to shrink yourself in order to fit. Knowing your worth is not arrogance, it is clarity. It is clarity that says, I deserve respect, I deserve honesty, I deserve love that uplifts me, not love that drains me. It is clarity that refuses to be fooled by charm without consistency, passion without commitment, or promises without action. It is clarity that says no to exploitation and yes to dignity. And with that clarity comes freedom. The freedom to walk away from what doesn't serve you and to wait for what truly does. At the heart of it all, self-worth is the declaration that you are enough as you are. You do not need to prove it. You do not need to chase it. You do not need to bargain for it. Anyone who tries to convince you otherwise is trying to gain power over you. But the moment you remember that your worth is fixed, unchanging, and undeniable, you take that power back. And once you do, you will never again allow someone to treat you as less than you are.